Welcome to your Huron Valley Chamber Today, a new show highlighting the good things happening at local businesses and organizations. This show will highlight both new members and longtime members of the Chamber of Commerce. Your host is Milford resident Gordon Muir. Gordon is a businessman, Chamber Executive Board member, and steadfast supporter of the Huron Valley community. And now, your host, Gordon.
I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody to your Huron Valley Chamber of Commerce today. In today's show, we have Dr. Paul Sala, the Superintendent of Schools, Huron Valley. Welcome here,
Thank you.
Doctor.
Glad to be here.
Why don't you kind of let us know what's going on? I know you're brand new here, but you got a lot going on, and we heard some of it at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast. But please bring us up to date on what's going on so the public really knows.
Sure, thank you. Again, thank you so much for having me today. Excited to be here representing the Huron Valley Schools, the new proud superintendent of Huron Valley Schools. I can't tell you how just warmed I am by the welcome that I've received from the community, from community organizations like the Chamber of Commerce. It's just been such a wonderful experience to be welcomed into the school district with such open arms, and I find myself very fortunate to be a part of the Huron Valley family. So I just say that kind of in starting.
Well, we certainly welcome you here.
Thank you, thank you. It's been a lot of fun, to be honest with you. I've had a wonderful several months. You know, officially, I started as superintendent in January 1st of 2019. However, I feel like I've been on the job since the board invited me to accept the position back in September, and I've spent a lot of time really getting to know the community, getting to know the students, the staff, many of the parents, many community members, and I just find that the community is hardworking, dedicated, committed to excellence in education. And, you know, the schools are just a mirror representation of the values that are espoused in the community. And so, you know, what's exciting to me when I think about Huron Valley and its values, we call ourselves a AAA school district. AAA because we focus on the academics, the athletics, and the arts. And so I mentioned those three key points because, you know, I think it's worth highlighting that Huron Valley outperforms the state of Michigan in every single category when it comes to standardized assessments at the state level.
That's fantastic.
It's absolutely, and the students and staff should be excited about that, and we should all be celebrating that success.
Right.
You know, that's because we offer really robust and comprehensive early childhood programs. We offer a junior kindergarten program, which is really quite rare across the state of Michigan. Junior kindergarten is an opportunity for children that might need an extra year, you know, of kindergarten in order to really master content and grow to the next level once they get to that first grade. Right. You know, public education was kind of built on an industrial model where there's a belief that, you know, sort of like an assembly line, you know, the assembly line, the car moves down the assembly line and it receives different parts, and by the time it gets to the end, the car is complete.
Right.
And so there's this mindset that schools kind of operate in that same way, where every child should master content in 180 days. First grade, move down to second grade, and so on and so forth. But what we've realized in education is that sometimes it takes a little less time for some kids, and so we need to provide enrichment opportunities for those students. And in some instances, it takes a little more time.
Correct.
And so the wonderful thing about junior kindergarten and early childhood is it gives us more time to help the children gain mastery and really be successful as they move through the system.
Now, are we kind of unique with that program in our district?
Yeah, we certainly are. I mean, there are some examples across the state and across the country, but not as robust as Huron Valley. We had our parent night last week, Tuesday, I believe, and we had over 100 parents submit interest forms, which is really, you know, quite wonderful. You know, we offer programs across all of our elementary schools in the school district wherever we have space in terms of that junior kindergarten program, and that's just the academic side. I mean, you know, we constantly are are gaining accolades for our band and choir programs, our arts programs, our robotics programs. We compete at the highest levels. We're constantly bringing awards home and recognitions, just because we're a hardworking community. We're a hardworking school district. I mean, yesterday evening, I was at a meeting in Milford High School until quite late, and I left the building at probably 8:30, and I left hearing our band practicing.
Oh,
And so that just shows the dedication. And the same is true at Lakeland. When I'm here for board meetings, oftentimes we have board meetings here.
Right.
When I'm leaving at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, I'll see students practicing in our hallways or in our band room. It just shows the values of our community. And I'm so proud to be a part of that and to be superintendent of the school district.
well, I want to tell you, I'm awful proud of these students that are right out here today doing these cameras and all the work that they do. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's just another great example. I mean, we have students actually videotaping this
Right.
program, right?
Right.
And that's phenomenal. So we offer robust career technical education opportunities. We just had not too long ago, we have an initiative called the SME Prime Initiative, where we're in the process of engaging the business community. And we had roughly 35 business owners represented at Milford High in the large group conference room, talking about building a manufacturing lab in both Milford and Lakeland. And that's to bolster our already robust career technical education programs, but we always want to look at ways to enhance.
Well, that's why we got such a close relationship now between the chamber and the school district.
Absolutely.
I think that we've come together stronger than we ever have been. And I know that you'll carry that forward.
I appreciate that. I will. And I couldn't agree with you more. There's a saying that says it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
It's the success of our children, is in part what the schools do, it's in part what our families do, and it's in part what the community does.
Yep.
And so we appreciate that partnership more than I can even express.
Oh, that's great.
And we'll look for, ways to continue to grow those relationships and that partnership.
Well, I'll tell you, one thing that I did hear you emphasize was our school district gets shorted money-wise against all the other districts here in Southeast Michigan. Do you want to explain to the public how that comes about?
Sure, and that's a great question. Thank you. I appreciate you raising that. So, in education, we don't like to complain. We want to just do our job,
Right.
and we want to do it well. But some things are important to really lift because I think the community needs to have an understanding of the way with which education funding works, especially when it relates to the Huron Valley schools.
Right.
So when Proposition A took effect, there was sort of a resetting of the foundation allowance, and it was based upon the voters passing a millage back then in 1994, and that dictated funding for schools moving forward. Okay?
I see.
And so what happened with Huron Valley at the time was we did not pass that specific millage, and it caused our foundation allowance to be set at the lowest point in the state of Michigan. So we receive $7,871 or so per pupil in order to provide all the educational opportunities that we provide.
Right.
That happens to put Huron Valley in the bottom third of all districts in Oakland County. 70% of all districts in Oakland County receive more foundation allowance, more funding per pupil than we receive as a school district. But we're required to do as much, if not more, than anyone else. Huron Valley is also one of the largest districts in Oakland County. We're actually the 5th largest district with a student population of 9,000 students. And in terms of our square mileage, we're the largest. So we're 99.3 square miles.
Wow.
And we transport over 50% of our students to and from school. So you take some school districts that do not provide any transportation. That foundation allowance, of which they receive more, goes exclusively towards educational programming for
Right.
students. Huron Valley expends over $1,000 per pupil just to get our kids to and from school
I
every day.
see.
That comes out of our minimum foundation allowance.
How do we correct this problem?
So, again, good question. So there was a study recently conducted in the state of Michigan. It's called the School Finance Research Collaborative. And two nationally recognized firms, not from the state of Michigan, were commissioned to answer the question, what does it take to educate a child in the state of Michigan?
Right.
They used two totally different methodologies. One group actually looked at state funding across the entire country, and it would be important to mention that these two groups also have done similar studies in 38 other states.
Uh-huh.
Another group conducted interviews with educators and business officials and really took a deep analysis at what it takes to educate children who receive English language service supports, special education supports, children who come from poverty, what it takes to transport a child to and from school. And what they arrived at is the minimum foundation that any district should receive, regardless of any extra factors, is right around $9,500 per pupil. So for Huron Valley, that equals about $16 million more dollars per year, not including special education, transportation, EL services, at-risk factors, children who qualify for free and reduced lunch. The research tells us, it's very clear, it takes more money to educate a child that has additional learning needs.
Right.
And so, when you take all of those factors into consideration, it tells us that Huron Valley is grossly underfunded in terms of doing the work that is necessary from an instructional design perspective. And
Well,
again, I'm not complaining because we're doing wonderful things in this school district,
Right.
but I also believe that we can continue to take it to the next level as a school district if we are properly funded. And we wouldn't have to compete with some of the school districts that just receive automatically a foundation allowance that is greater than ours.
Right. Well, just think for a second how great this school district would be if we got to the 9,000.
Oh, it would be wonderful.
Wouldn't it be
It would
great?
be wonderful. We could afford to do some things that are much needed for our school
Right,
district.
right. Is there anything else that you want to talk about relative to the community and the school district, Paul?
Absolutely. One last thing I would be remiss to not mention is the fact that that base foundation that supports the schools,
Right.
85% of that simply goes to pay for people. We're in a people business.
Right.
It goes to pay for teachers and bus drivers and transportation costs and the instructional design, curriculum materials, everything we purchase to make the school district operate.
Right.
The other 15% of that roughly goes to utility bills. Okay.
Right.
So in order to upgrade our facilities, to maintain parking lots, roofs, boilers, chillers, just the infrastructure, the safety and security of our schools, to have cameras in place that kind of harden our buildings to make sure that we're keeping our kids safe and secure.
Right.
In order to really modernize our educational environments and do the necessary facility upgrades, school districts go out to their community periodically and ask them to consider a bond and or a sinking fund and or both.
Right.
So in November 2019, the school district will be asking the community to consider a zero tax increase bond and a sinking fund renewal, which will cost no additional monies to the taxpayer, but will allow us to do some work that is needed for the school district in the areas of safety and security, modernizing our educational facilities, as well as upgrading some of the infrastructure needs that currently
Right.
exist in the school district.
Now, this might help shorten that deficit with the other districts a little bit?
Well, it actually does nothing for our foundation allowance.
Okay, all right.
But it does allow us to do the much needed things that create and allow us, really just elevating the community, to be the destination school district that we know that we are.
Right.
It's a representation of our community. I would end by saying that right now, today, we actually have a group of citizens making up about 55 people that are parents and various constituents and representatives from across the community, business owners, some staff that are looking at every single one of our facilities to make recommendations to our board on May 20th. So
That's
stay
wonderful.
tuned for that, and thank you so much for
Thank you.
having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Paul.
Thank you.
Well, that last interview was great, but you're about to hear something else. I've got Tony Fujai. Tony wears 4 hats in our community, and I will tell you that one hat is his business, of the restaurant business. The other hat is being an attorney. Another hat as a member of the Downtown Business Association, and a last hat would be for the President of the Chamber of Commerce. So Tony, let's start with the restaurants. Well, bring us up to date on all the restaurants that you're involved with, what they specialize in. They're just great places.
Well, first of all, Gordon, thank you for having me on the show today. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you on your Huron Valley today. My family and I, we grew up in the restaurant business, and when we moved to Milford almost 20 years ago, I just became an attorney, and my brother was a chef throughout Oakland County in many restaurants, and we had gotten out of the restaurant business. And we decided, once we laid our foundations here, to get back into it. And our first restaurant venture when we got back into it in 2008 was the America's Coney Island here in Milford.
Right.
And my brother, who is the chef behind all the operations and does all the day-to-day operations, worked day in and day out. I had helped him in the evenings after I got off of my job and on the weekends. And my father helped us out. He was retired, so he hangs out at the restaurant. Most of you that come there would see Mr. Nick.
Right.
My brother, most don't really know him, Mike, because he's in the back of the kitchen. So we started with one restaurant. Then we got our second restaurant in Brighton. We opened up another Americas. And then we got involved with our brother-in-laws, and we bought the Chow Michis in Brighton. And in the last 2 years, we opened up another Chow Italian Bistro in West Bloomfield. And then most recently, about 6 months ago, we opened one in Fenton. Okay. So I hang out at the one here in Milford because I live in Milford and this is my community. But I help out at the other restaurants. My brother, there's days when we're at all 5 restaurants, him or I, just making sure things are going smooth. But
Right.
today we had a fun brunch at lunch. Me, my brother, my dad, we're all there just hanging out, working and making sure things are going smooth for everybody before I came over here for the interview. It's a passion of ours. We've been in since we were kids, 12, 13 years old, me and my brother. And obviously that's his full-time hard job. So him and I, we like it the best because we get to see each other on a day-in, day-out basis.
Right. Now the Americases are like family restaurants
Correct. They're family diners, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
for just the average type of meals.
That's correct. You know, we run the breakfast specials, $2.99 Monday through Friday from 7 to 10.
Right.
We have all the retirees, the veterans come in every Wednesday morning at 7 o'clock.
Right.
And, you know, like I said, living in Milford, it's a great community, and you pretty much know everybody. So you walk in there, you're on a face-name basis with everybody. It's kind of like Cheers. You walk in where everybody knows your name.
Now the one in Brighton, Chow Michi,
Yes.
that is basically Italian.
Yeah, it's an Italian restaurant. My brother-in-law, he was in the Italian restaurant business for years and decided to get involved in that restaurant. And so we were presented the opportunity, and we decided to jump on it because you never know when you're going to get a second chance.
Right.
And his wife is my sister. She's also my partner at the law office. So we were already working together, so it was a no-brainer.
Right.
And then, you know, we took that over almost 10 years now. So
Well, last Saturday night, my wife and I celebrated our 62nd anniversary at that restaurant. And I want to tell you, the food was fantastic.
it's a pleasure. You know, thank you for the compliment. You know, it's an honor that you chose us to celebrate your 62nd anniversary. And I had to make sure it was a good night because I didn't want Viv to yell at me, you know, something went wrong. So I didn't want you to get in trouble either. So I made sure things were taken care of that night.
Okay, now you got the new one out in Fenton.
That's correct. We opened that about 6 months ago. My cousin, my uncle's son, Steve, who was one of our managers at the restaurants, we took him involved as a partner, and he runs that one. And we help out. My brother oversees the kitchen operation, the food and stuff. And so if no one comes to work, if someone calls in sick, he'll be behind the line
Right.
cooking the pastas and all the specials. Valentine's Day was last week, so I had to help out at night, make sure things went smooth. And sometimes you'll see me there 3 times a week. Sometimes you won't see me once in 3 months. So
Wow.
it all depends on the need they need.
And then you got the one in West Bloomfield.
Yeah, that's correct. It's your old stomping
yeah.
grounds. Because
Right.
a lot of people, when I mention I know Gordon Muir, they're like, "Oh yeah, Gordon's the man," And yeah, we took over the old Huron was a Mexican restaurant. Before that, it was Big Daddy's. It's got a bank room for 150 people, so it's a big operation. And my brother-in-law's at that one full time, and we've had that a little over a year now.
Well, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, it was an honor for Viv and I to be at your restaurant Saturday night. Again, I thank you
You're
for all
welcome.
your help. Now, the second hat. That is an attorney. Why don't you let us know about your business as an attorney?
Yeah, ever since I was, 4 or 5 years old, I always wanted to be an attorney. My dad came to America February 28, 1968, for a better life for his kids and his family. He got married, brought my mom over here, brought my grandma who raised us because my parents worked 2, 3 jobs to put us through school. There was 5 kids of us. It wasn't easy, and me and my sister, we always wanted to be attorneys, and my parents did everything so we could fulfill our dream. I'm one of the few people that can say I became an attorney, and I got out of law school without a penny in debt. My parents took care of everything for me and my sister. All they wanted us was to be an attorney. I was fortunate. I was 24 years old when I got my license, very young. So I've been practicing a while now, and we used to do a lot of criminal work, and we do probate and estate planning now. And our office is in Farmington Hills, but I do meet clients in the Milford area when I have to.
Right.
We've been working together since we came out. It's the passion that we've always wanted to do, and you wake up in the morning doing something you love, and you don't even consider it work. So
Right.
it's something nice. And I work with my sister.
Wow.
Everybody says, "How is that?" We know each other, and she keeps me in check. So if I do something wrong, she'll yell at me, or if
Right.
did you get this done, or can you call this person for me, or can't say no to your sister,
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's wonderful, and like I said, I've always wanted to be an attorney since I was a kid. I was fortunate to fulfill my dreams through the hard work of my parents and my family, and
Well, that's great.
Now it's nice because having children, I'm married, I have a daughter and a son, and I want them to get an education so they can become somebody.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have to use it, obviously. Being in the restaurant business,
No.
I'm involved in that, but having any degree is a great thing to do.
And the third hat, you're a member of the Business Association in downtown Milford.
Yeah, the Downtown Development Authority.
Good
I've been a
development.
member of the DDA for almost 10 years now. I was approached by several members through the Americas, being involved, and they asked me, they needed some members, and if I would want to come on the board. And I thought it was an honor because not everybody gets asked, and you actually get to help talk about ideas and implement things that you want to bring to the community.
Right.
And so you're actually setting up the community future use, and being at the master
Right.
plan, the DDA and the chamber were involved when we did the amphitheater. And you look at it today, the community raised several $100,000 and built that beautiful facility. It was a co-partnership, between all the organizations, where my children, other children, maybe my grandchildren will be able to use that in the future. And
Right. Right.
it's just a great thing. And now there's several new buildings going up, and it's a time where expansion is good in Milford right
Right.
now.
And the last hat is the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and I know I always joke around with the fellow board members. When I remember the first time I wanted to become a member of the Chamber of Commerce, it was the first time they started doing interviews to be a member, and there were 2 of us that applied for one position, and I actually originally got denied. And I remember I was heartbroken when they told me, thanks for all the hard work you do, but we decided to pick someone else. But someone else left it, and I was fortunate. They offered me a position on the board. And, when we first opened up our first restaurant, the chamber really helped us out. We became members automatically, and all the board members and everybody on the chamber just, helped us expand business, get involved. You know, we used to have the annual showcase at the high school, and we used to come there and get
Right.
sample foods, and it really helped advertise our business. And I always tell everybody, when you become involved with the chamber, you want to put the time and effort into it, because there's over 450 members on the chamber,
Right.
and you get what you put into it. When we first started out, the Americas, there were several Coney Islands, and everybody used to say, you probably have the worst location in town. But you know what? When you put the effort and the time in, you succeed. And now there's, what, 2 left? So we're one of them. So
Right.
the chamber's just opened up the door so much for us, and slowly got more involved, helped out. You know, like I say, there's 450 something members of the chamber. We do so many events, you know, Milford Memories, you know, the golf outing, which, you know, you and I are very passionate about.
That's right.
The Beer Fest, brewed
Right.
in Michigan, but you and I call it the Beer Fest.
Right.
The new Currents event that comes in May.
Right.
There's just so much going on, and we do so much for the community. We give back, and it's just a great community organized event where it's just not, you know, businesses, but most of these people live in Milford,
Right.
and they help each other out. And it's like you and I you tell the story when you went into a business and you said, "Are you a member of the chamber?" And they said no, and you said, "Okay, thank you, and have a good day," and you walked out. The chamber does a lot for the community. The community does a lot for the chamber.
Right.
We're very fortunate to live in this community.
Yep.
Came here 20 years ago, and wouldn't change it for the world. It's just been
Right.
amazing, and everybody knows everybody. Everybody helps everybody out.
Terrific school district too, right?
Wonderful school district, and we got a great new superintendent. The
Right.
previous ones were great, but now we got a new leader, and he's working as hard as he can
Right.
to help out the community and to, you know, straighten up some things here at the school district.
Tony, thank you so much for giving us all this information. Really appreciate you being on the show tonight.
Gordy, it was a pleasure, and I just want to say, you know, thank you for everything you've done for the community. It's not easy to take time out of your day to not only do this, but the golf committee. You are the man that every year Milford Memory takes the opportunity, and you stop by every vendor and you say thank you to them for coming out.
Right.
Not only are they paying for it, but you also acknowledge that, you know, we're appreciative of what they do for the community. And that takes a lot of time out of your time from Viv and your family.
Right.
We appreciate everything you do for the community,
Thank
Gordy.
you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Welcome back. With me now, I've got Marv Lovelace, the owner of Detroit Business Graphics in Highland, Michigan. And Marvin, welcome to the show. Please let us know how you got started in this wonderful business of yours.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to the show. This is an awesome opportunity.
Thank you.
Way back when I was a high school student, I attended a class called Media Productions in William D. Ford Vocational Tech Center.
Right.
I was going to John Glenn at the time. And during that class, I entered and I won the Michigan State Student Film Festival. Which is a pretty big deal because most high school students didn't win that. That title always went to college students that entered the same thing.
Right.
But winning that got me the opportunity to work on the set of The Evil Dead. It was a movie back in the 80s that kind of ran out of money, and they came to the school system for help and for experience, trade for
Right.
experience and help to finish the movie. So anyway, my specialty was clay animation, editing, and camera. But on the set of The Evil Dead, I got to be a gopher. That's where you just get everybody's coffee and stuff like that.
Right.
But I did get to work on the special effects, and I worked on the poster design for the for the DVD, or back then VHS.
Right.
So that's where it started, and it kind of, my appeal for that never ended. And then when I turned 18, I enlisted in the United States Army, and serving in the Army, I kind of kept that thing going on.
I see.
I did it for birthday parties. I'd film weddings, and I would edit them, do some graphic art.
Now, this was for service people?
People that were with me in the service that wanted wedding invitation designed and printed, I would do that for them.
Right.
And I would create my own way of doing it at the house and things like that. And then as my career progressed, I got commission from our unit, during 911 when the towers got hit, our unit got called up and we were going to be sent away right away. And we were gathered in a hall, and my commander wanted me to make a little video, a motivational video about what we were about to do.
Right.
And I did that, and when we left, everybody was cheering and screaming because they were so motivated to go. So that was a big success. After I retired from the Army, I worked for corporate America, Northrop Grumman as a director of business development, and even still then, I started my own hobby business. Vinage was the name of the company, and I did a bunch of, I have a Etsy store, I had an Amazon store, and I would sell things on my part-time.
Right.
It kind of was always there on me. And then in 2017, I got laid off, and as a result of that, I talked to my wife, and we decided that the best thing to do is just to do what I love to do, but do it full-time.
Very good.
And then we just started Detroit Business Graphics.
And that has been very successful.
Yes, we started out of our basement.
And
We put tables on top, moved over the ping pong table, got rid of the dartboard,
right, right.
and equipment started to take place. Yeah.
So let us know some of the things that you do with Detroit Business Graphics now.
Well, Detroit Business Graphics, we do everything a typical sign shop would do. Printing a sign, those are the basics, business
Okay.
card signage, banners, boards, anything. But what makes us special at Detroit Business Graphics is that we're the ultimate customization shop.
Ah,
We're the only place that you can come in and say, look, we're getting ready to have a party, and I got this idea of making, pin the tail on a donkey, but instead of pin a tail on a donkey, I'd like to pin a margarita on my sister's hand.
oh,
And so that was actually one that we got, and
Right.
we actually created a game with all the game pieces, and
Oh.
everything was laser cut, so it was pretty funny.
wonderful.
And things like that, you can imagine you'd come to us for that. Another thing that we can do in town, if you, as you might already know,
I'm well aware. I was going to mention that, but go ahead.
we do direct-to-print garmenting, or direct-to-garment printing. I always mess that up, by the way.
Right.
But what that means is that we can make a T-shirt for you full color, both sides, one side, however you want it, literally in an hour. And it's kind of like, it's the same quality as silk screening,
Right.
but it doesn't take all the plates for each color. The problem with silk screening is for every color that you have to have another plate designed for it. And then you color each layer at one time, and move it into the next layer, and
Right.
so on and so on until you have your image finished. With direct-to-garment printing, it's just the same as printing on your computer on a piece of paper.
So you can do almost anything with a T-shirt or sweatshirt that the person wants.
There's some limitations. For the direct-to-garment printing, it has to be 100% cotton.
Okay.
For anything that's outside of that, we of course can do the silk screening, we can do vinyl, we can do rhinestones, we can do embroidery,
Yep.
can do any of those type of things. So really, anything you want, pretty much. We have a thing that my wife laughs about it. We never say no. Someone walks in and says, can I get this? This is a crazy idea. Yes, we can.
Well, that's me.
So, yeah.
I did walk into your shop, and I came up with my wife and I came up with an idea for our grandkids, and that was with these sweatshirts,
Right.
and their name on them, but also whatever they were interested in. If it was roller coasters or airplanes or rowboats or whatever, you had those pictures on all of those. It was the grandkids went crazy over it.
And thanks to your wife, she gave me the artistic freedom to do it.
Yes.
We did something more. Instead of just putting their names on the shirt, like what you asked for,
Right.
we incorporate whatever they were into a logo that kind of fit that genre.
That's right. That's
So
right.
their name was a logo, which was
Yeah, now I know you do work with the veterans, and you also do work with the school district.
yes. We
And you
we work with AMVETS, as you know,
Right.
and if you buy a product that we develop from the AMVETS website, some portions of those proceeds go towards the AMVETS to keep that
Right.
program running.
That's right.
And we also publish the Family Resource Magazine.
Yes.
This is a publication where we go out and we sell the ads. We do all of the publishing, all the labor involved with putting the magazine together. We work with the school hand to hand. We use this program called Monday Online to collaborate
Right.
to each other to organize the publishing of this magazine.
Right.
But what we do above and beyond what any other publisher does, is the school doesn't pay for any of this work, but when we sell an ad, we split the profits earned from the ad with the school.
Oh,
So the
wonderful.
money goes back to the school, so they can afford to reduce the cost of the publication or pay for other programs.
I do know that you put a thing in there for the ANVETs, and they've gotten new members
The magazine is
From-
doing very well,
from this magazine.
yes.
Also, I know that this work that you do with the school district,
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to be honored to do all that stuff. I mean, these are great things that you're doing for the community.
We love working for the school.
And
We have 6 kids ourselves,
wow.
so we're using the school system.
Are
for
your
sure,
kids
yeah.
in the school system here?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so they're enjoying the good things that are happening in the Huron Valley schools.
Yep, the last one just started the 3rd grade at, Johnson Elementary,
Yeah.
Jaguars. Yeah, so the last one just started there and making her way through it. And, we love working for the community.
Well,
We also just got awarded a contract to do, a lot of people don't know this, but we do films for windows as well. And there's a safety and security film that goes onto the glass of a high school window.
yeah,
And what this does is it prevents anybody from trying to break into the school. It's low caliber bulletproof.
oh boy.
So you can't break the glass to get into school. And we just got awarded a contract in Saginaw to do all of their school buildings.
I see. But if people need it for their homes, can you do that?
Yeah, you can do anything for their home. You can do either security, or if there's just a big bright light, the sun's coming through a window that raises the heat, we can put film on there that will take away the glare from the sun and actually save your money on your cooling your house, because
Right.
it'll reduce the heat coming in the
Oh, that's
window.
wonderful, wonderful. Well, I really thank you for being on the show today. Appreciate all the things that you're doing for the community.
Appreciate it.
And I would like to let the public know that if you want to be on your Huron Valley Chamber Today program, which is being telecast right now, you must contact the chamber office and let them know that you want to be on, but you must be a member of the Chamber of Commerce to be on this show. Also, there are a number of organizations in the community that are doing great things for our community. We welcome them to contact the chamber office so that we can interview them on our show, so that we can let the public know what's going on with all the various associations that are doing good things in the community. Marv, thanks a lot for your time today. Really appreciated you coming here, and wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You bet.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed your Huron Valley Chamber today. This is a production of HVS TV at Huron Valley Schools. This was made possible in partnership with the Huron Valley Chamber of Commerce and WOCA, the Western Oakland County Cable Communications Authority. Tune in for new episodes soon, and remember to support your local businesses.